Alright, hey everybody. So today I have kind of a project here. I've been doing all my trimming on my ficus trees, and I've been putting them in the sand to start growing roots after I put the rooting hormone on them. So yesterday or the day before, whatever, I took them all out of the sand, and I'll show you that because it looks so bare now. If I can move my camera over here. So that's where all the trees were at, right in here. Now it's just got the trees that didn't have roots on them. And then that's another tray over here that's got a whole bunch of weeds and stuff in it. And I've got these, and I've got another tray right there. So anyway, I've got this tray right here, and it's water because I couldn't get to all of these trees the last couple of days. Been really busy, so I put them all in this tray of water with the roots like sitting in the water so that they could stay moist. Ficus trees, you can do that. Some trees you can't really do that, so make sure you know what you're working with when you do this. But anyway, so I got all these trees in here, and these are all cuttings from all my other trees, and they've all got really good root systems. Some of them got really long roots on them. And this is a couple of months. I can't tell you how many months because I don't remember, but some of them got like really long roots on them. Some of them are starting to look like a small tree, and some of them are just twigs still. Some of them were like cut from a branch that was cut off, so that's going to be a little bitty tree. So I've got a bunch of this in here. I'll put water on my face too. That's awesome. Anyway, so I got all these trees, and I need to put them somewhere. I'm not going to do a video of putting all of these into a pot. I might do that and then edit it into the end of the video, show you all the trees in the pots. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that or not. I might. So yeah, I've got a whole bunch of small pots, some other bonsai pots, some of these little trays. So I'm going to work on that, and I also want to show you another project that I might do. Actually, I probably will do that really quick with the first one, and the rest of them I'm just gonna plant into a pot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my cute little pot here. I'm going to grab my bucket of bonsai soil over here. Alright, so I'm going to grab my little pot here, and I'm going to put some soil into it. And it is kind of wet. It's been raining a lot out here, so nothing is drying. So the bonsai soil is all wet. It's not really going to make much of a difference with this potting, because all these have kind of small root structures. It's not like there's a whole clump of roots that I'm trying to get soil into. So what I'm going to do is do a clump style multiple tree single trunk. Hope that makes sense. It should here in just a few minutes when I get this all set up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick out a few trees that have more of a straight trunk to it, like these two. That one I'm going to do something else with. This one I'm going to do something else with. It's got a lot of branches. So I'm trying to find trees that just have a couple of, or the leaves on them, more like this. That one I'm going to do something else with. I want to make a big tree out of that. And then like this one is a good one. So I'm going to do 4 trees. You could do a whole bunch of trees, or you can just do a couple of trees doing this process. Use that one also. So I'm going to use 4 trees, or 5 trees. So I got my 5 trees right here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put all of these trees together, and I want to face them to where the leaves are facing out, because you can see the leaves face in a direction, Okay, so you want to face the leaves out, but you want to put the roots, the height of the roots together, or the top of the roots together. And you want to put the trunk together with the roots. You want to make them touch together. This one's going to be kind of a little bit different because it's got more branches and stuff. So I'm going to just kind of use the roots. It's kind of got a cutout right here. So I'm going to put that against these trees here. I'm going to make it to where this branch right here, I want that branch to be going outwards, and I kind of want this branch to be going outwards. So I'm going to put it against right here, like that. And this one, this branch, and this branch, or those two leaves are kind of low. So I'm just going to break those off, because they'll just come right off. Just like that. And I'm going to take this one off. So this is going to be the higher or upper part of the tree. And then I'm going to put that together over here. Like that. I'm going to take this one. I'm going to put this one. I'm actually going to cut this bottom portion off because I don't need all of this lower part. Throwing stuff around over here. Alright, and I'm kind of doing this in a little bit of a hurry because it is about to rain again. And when it rains, you can't hear a word I'm saying in here. So, and it's already sprinkling, so. Alright, so then I'm going to put this tree over here. I'm going to put this root over the top of these roots. Later on, once this really starts going, I can go back in and unpot it or repot it and take the unnecessary roots off, because eventually these trees will actually grow together and make one trunk right in here. So they'll either like fuse together, or they'll send out aerial roots, and they'll make one trunk out of this tree. So that's going to be the tree for now, and I'm going to leave it all clumped up like this for now until it really starts growing, and then I'll spread it out, possibly wire it, and trim things back that can be trimmed back. So I'm going to take all of this, I'm going to put this in the pot, and at this point I'm just putting it in a pot so that it has a place to grow. I'm not doing any directional anything, or I'm not doing any styling with it. That's just how it's going to grow for a while. So I'm going to hold these together with one hand. I'm going to try to hold them together kind of tight where they're touching each other at the base of the trunk. And then I'm going to fill in the soil. And like I said, the soil is wet. This would probably be easier with dry soil, but I mean, you can still tamp it down a little bit. I usually like to have dry soil. It falls into place easier. Because this stuff will actually kind of stick together. Not quite like potting soil will, but it does kind of stick together. Alright, so that's holding itself right there. So I'm going to just add enough soil in here to give those roots a place to start growing. Just like that. Then I'm going to take a piece of wire. I have this wire right here. I'm going to take a small piece of wire, and I'm going to put it around the trunk. I don't want to put it around too tight because I don't want to cause wire scars on it just yet. Maybe later on we'll do something with that, but right now I just want them to hold together. So I'm going to put the piece of wire around here, and I'm going to try and manipulate the wire itself instead of with the trunks, and try and bend just the wire so that when it goes around the tree it makes a circle rather than pinching like that. So you want the trunk to be a circle and not a teardrop shape. So I'm going to manipulate the wire like this into a circle. Hope you can see that. And I'm going to kind of open up the circle like this, so that when I put it around it, I'm just bending it like that, and it's going to make the circle again. And just however long it takes you to get it to a circle, and then kind of open it like this, so you can put it around the tree, and kind of twist it around the tree, the trees. Like this, without breaking off the lower branch. You kind of don't want to cut the bark on the tree either. You can just kind of squeeze it together. I'll get up and show you what it kind of looks like right there. Let's see, it's just going to hold the trees together right there, and then I am going to pull each side of this. I'm going to kind of pull the sides and push the back with my finger so that it crimps the wires together. Because you want it kind of tight so that the trees will start growing together, because by them touching each other, and as they grow, they're touching each other, and eventually their cells will start to fuse together, and then you'll have one trunk out of multiple trees. And as it grows bigger, it really turns into one tree rather than multiple trunks making one tree. So you, in a few years, you won't even be able to tell that this was 4 or 5 trees put together. So I mean, it does take a while. But this is a way to create a larger trunk a lot quicker. Obviously this is small trees, but that's all I have right this minute is smaller trees. You could do it with larger trees. I think it does take longer with larger trees because you've got more mass trying to grow together, and you're going to have spaces in between the trunks there. So with this, it's a lot less space. So that's kind of what it looks like all put together. Get up and make sure you're seeing it right. See, that's what it looks like with all the trunks put together. So the tree doesn't look like much right now. All the leaves are really healthy. They're light colors. The light colored leaves are newer leaves. They do have a little bit of darkness right in the middle of the leaf right here. You can see that. That means that these leaves aren't getting enough sunlight right now, which isn't a terrible thing at this point. It's still growing. It's still got new growth on it. It's like each spot or each tip of the branch has got a new start to a new leaf. So it's definitely growing. So this one, I'm going to let it sit in the pot inside the greenhouse for a little while, a couple of weeks probably, and then I'll put it outside and just let it really grow for a while. This one I'm going to heavily fertilize it because I want it to really grow. I want it to put on some size. I want it to put on some foliage. I want the roots to really establish themselves. And in a couple of months after that, I'll be able to take it out of this pot, and it should have filled this pot with roots. And I should just be able to pull out a whole clump of roots. And this should be roughly about this size in a couple of months, because these trees grow pretty rapidly. That's kind of why I like working with ficus trees, because or the ficus benjamina, because they do grow pretty fast, and it just gives me something to do because I get bored easy. So it's kind of nice to be able to work on something that grows pretty quick. So it keeps me engaged. All right, so I'm going to set this one aside and pull this out here. I do have a couple of other trees that are already potted up. This is one of them that I had. It's got some sand on the trunk still. Kind of need to wash them off. I didn't wash this one. I did pot this one in potting soil. We'll see how that works. See if it works any better than the bonsai soil at this stage. Got a couple other trees over here that I did. So another thing that I do want to do in this video, I want to I want to grow some larger trees. So I have so many mosquitoes are coming out already. I have so many of the smaller trees, and I don't have any really big ficus trees. So I kind of want a really massive ficus tree. I've got a couple that are started. This one had some issues this winter, so it's got a tiny little branch. You can see that it's growing. That should do pretty good here in a little while. but anyway, this size trunk, is kind of a medium-sized tree. I want a tree that's got a monster trunk. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a couple of these cuttings, a couple of the cuttings that have got more branches on them, I think. Like this one here, it's got some pretty decent branches started. Like this one here, it's got quite a few branches on it. I think the rest of these, this one's got a few branches on it. This one would probably be pretty decent too. I think I'm going to do this one later. I'm going to do something else with that. But I'm going to make these two like monster trees. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my larger pot, and I have potting soil in here, my compost potting soil. I'm going to plant this. I'm going to plant the roots as radial as possible because I do want this to be a bonsai, and I want it to fit into a bonsai pot, but I also want it to grow faster, and by letting it just freely grow without holding it back in a smaller pot or by trimming it too much, then it grows faster. So I'm going to let it grow freely. I'm going to put some more soil in here. Got more soil down here. Just fill the top up over the top of the roots here. Got a cool worm in there. I'm going to keep that in the compost. Alright, so that's that. I kind of want it to stand straight up for now. We'll see how we do with it later on when it really starts growing, what it looks like. So there you go. It's as simple as that. Just putting it into a larger pot and just letting it free grow. Like, I'm going to trim off the leaves at the base of the branches like I always do. Like this leaf is at the base of a branch. I'm going to trim those off, but that's all I'm going to do. Everything else I'm just going to let it run. I'm going to let it grow and grow. And this is probably going to be several years of a process in a larger pot. I have thought about taking a couple of them and putting them in the ground, but it does get to freezing temperatures here in the panhandle of Florida, so I don't know if I want to put them in the ground because I don't want them to freeze. So still thinking about that, still considering that. But there's that one. I got this pot for the other one. Make the top of the soil flat. Take this one. I'm going to trim this really thick root back a little bit. Like that. I'm going to lay these roots out. I want to keep as much roots on here really as possible. I don't need a root that's not doing anything super long like that. Alright. Push it down in the dirt so it'll stand up or not. Get some more soil up here. And if I could wager a bet, I'm going to bet that this one grows faster than the other one, only because it has more branches already, and that's definitely going to help. That's kind of why I wanted to get some of them that had some branches on them already. So yeah, just like that. Thunder's starting to roll in, lightning and thunder. So there's that guy, and these two I'm probably going to put outside after the video because they should do fine in the potting soil like this. All right, so I got my weed sprayer that I have rainwater in. I only put rainwater in this jug, so I use it for watering all my trees with just water. I don't want to do any weed killer or bug killer or any kind of plant food in here. I just want it straight water. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the trunk, the base of it, and I'm going to lift it up, and I'm going to spray the sand, because it basically just washes all the sand out of the roots. I keep the sand in the container here because I clean the sand. I actually rinse it with the hose for a while to make it nice and clean. So I don't want to have to keep doing that and rinsing more and more sand to replace the sand that I take out of there. So all the weeds I'm going to pull out of here, and all these really white roots are typically not the tree's roots. These ones actually are, but the really fine ones, they're typically weed roots. So I'll take those out. I'm going to take all the weeds out of it, just be gentle with it, and then I'm going to kind of rinse it off a little bit better in the tray here. Alright, so that's what it looks like when you root a ficus tree in sand. And this one's a lot less time in the sand than the other ones. This one is it's a couple of months, I'm pretty sure. I'm not exactly sure how long it is, but I'm pretty sure it's a couple of months. But it's not like 6 or 8 months like the other ones were. So that's what the newer roots look like from the sand. It still grows a ton of roots pretty quick. I did another video where I put it in the sand. I think it was a month. I might have said it was like a couple of weeks. I think it was actually a month that it was in the sand. But you can still see where I cut the tree off of the previous tree. So with that, I'm going to cut that off because that's not going to grow roots. It's not going to be a benefit to anything. So I'm going to get rid of that. And then that's the base of the tree right there. Eventually this will grow more roots out of the base of the tree there, but it just hasn't yet. So that's what that one looks like. And that was a pretty good start to a tree right there. So what I'm going to do with this one, I'm going to put this one in a little bit larger pot, because if I put it in a pot this size, it looks a little weird, because I want this to be a kind of a larger tree also. I want a couple of larger trees. So I'm going to grab a pot. Alright, here we've got a pot here. I'll put some soil in here. When you've got a tree that's got brand new roots like this, and you're putting it into bonsai soil for the first time, I like to, well, with the ficus trees, this isn't with every tree, with the ficus trees, I like to make a really thick layer of soil, like almost to the level of where I want it to end up. And then I'll put the roots on top of the soil. I'll lay them out. I'll try to stretch them out to where they look radial, and I'll show you that here in a second. I'm going to take the ends off of some of these because they're just really long, and these are mostly feeder roots, so all of this is going to be feeding the tree, so I don't need every bit of that. Because really, I could have a couple of roots this size and the tree's still going to survive, unless you put it right out in the hot sun, so don't do that. So I'm going to spread the roots out as much as I can. Use a chopstick a little bit, like a comb. Spread them out a little bit here. spreading the roots out makes the nibari look better, but it also helps with the health of the tree because the roots are, you know, spread out so that they can get nutrients from multiple areas of the pot rather than just one spot. So by spreading them out, you're giving it a better chance to get nutrients, as much as making the nibari look good, which, I mean, it's helpful both ways. So that's, let me see if you can see that. There you go. Kind of spread the roots out a little bit. And I'm just going to add soil right on top of those. I'm not going to use a chopstick when I do this, because for one, the soil is like sopping wet right now, which, like I said, is not ideal. But if I chopstick this, it's going to mess up where the roots are up, and it's probably going to break a whole bunch of those roots because they're fresh, new roots. So we don't want to damage any of those fresh, new roots. And I have said that these trees recover from root pruning really easily, but those roots, if you damage them, there's a good chance that it'll just have to grow new roots, and that's just going to set you back a lot. So when you've got brand new roots like that, you don't want to damage them. And something with tiny little roots like this, you really don't want to set it outside yet. If you have a place inside or a greenhouse, keep it in there for a while so that it can establish some roots and give itself some structure, because you can't really wire the tree into the pot with roots that small. I mean, you could try and put a piece of wire across the soil like I showed you that other video. I can't remember which video that was, but you take like a chopstick or a piece of bamboo or something, and you put it on the surface of the pot, and then you wire it around the pot, and it just kind of holds the tree in. This doesn't really have enough structure in the roots to be able to do that. So this one, I'm going to keep it in the greenhouse, and I'm going to let it establish some roots. And when you can pull on it and the whole pot moves rather than just around the trunk, then you know that it's got pretty well established root base. So I am going to do a little bit of trimming on this one, a little bit meaning one branch, because this branch is like going straight up into this other branch, and I don't need that there. And this tree could potentially be another tree, but like you've seen, I'm kind of overwhelmed with trees right now, so I'm not going to keep that. So yeah, there's that tree, and like I said, the soil is like dripping, so I'll let that drain. I'm not going to water it until it starts drying out a little bit. Yeah, there's going to be another really cool bonsai tree right there. Pretty excited about this one. I might make this one into like a banyan style. I might let this really go and thicken up the trunk, and then trunk chop it so that it can so I can have another tree, because this will end up being another tree, because that looks really cool as it is, and that would look like a pretty cool tree just right there. So, and then the lower part, that'll be the other tree. So we'll see how that goes, how it develops, and if it looks good that way or not. But potentially this could be two trees instead of just one. So yeah, there's that one. Pretty excited about that. I'm going to keep this in the greenhouse. Put it right over here. It'll get watered from the greenhouse watering system. And okay, everybody. So I did end up having enough time to repot all these trees before it really started raining. I used potting soil, and I'm using larger pots. Some of these I want to turn into like houseplants. Some of them I'm going to do bonsais, but I'm going to let them grow out for quite a while before I do anything else with them. So I'll probably put these on the ground. The roots will probably grow into the ground, and then wintertime I'll bring them back into the greenhouse. I'm moving the camera around because I'm going to show you something else really quick here. So I'm going to put these back on the ground. Alright, so now that those are out of the way, I have another little project here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this tiny little guy And I'm going to put it in this really small pot, which is obviously massive for this tree, but it's small. So I'm going to use a really fine screen in the bottom of this. They do have small holes, but I'll show you why here in just a second. I'll put that there. Then I've got some crushed granite that's about the consistency of sand. And this is what I've sifted out of the crushed granite that I use for the bonsais, because it's about that size. Now that I dropped it for you, it's about that size. Excuse me. So I sift it because it's all of this and then some of that. So I actually get a lot more of this than I do the other stuff. And I'm putting my fingers in the water because it sticks to my fingers. So anyway, so I'm going to put this in this pot using just this crushed granite sand. I'll call it sand because it looks like sand. Anyway, so I'm going to make a layer on the bottom like I showed you with the other tree that I did. So I'm just going to spread the roots out like I did on the other trees. And I'm just going to pour the granite sand on it. I'm pretty sure this is crushed granite. It might be some other kind of rock. Let's crush whatever it is because it's like really sharp edges. And it looks like it was just busted up. Alright, so there's that, just like that. Then I'm going to let that grow for a while in this pot. I'm not going to fill it up all the way because I don't want it just to run over the top of the pot when I water it. I'm going to try and water it nice and gentle. But this will water just like sand. It'll just go right through. I'll grab my little sprayer here to show you. Spray the leaves off because I got some sand on the leaves. There we go. But yeah, just spray it. And it just runs. It just runs right out of it, just like that. So once it starts running out of the bottom, you know it's watered enough. And that actually added a lot of weight to this. So this holds a lot of moisture. So in a sense of it's going to hold a lot of moisture like that, I'm going to put it in a place in the greenhouse where it's not going to get a ton of water from the watering system so that it doesn't overwater the tree. And I'll just keep an eye on it. If it needs more water, I'll move it closer to the watering system or farther away. But yeah, there's that. And I have a couple of sarissa trees that I pulled out of there too. So I'm just going to pop those up really quick. I'm going to use the same sand. I don't think I really need fine screen. I might just put it in there anyway. Got 2 pots, so I'm going to cut this in half. And it is going to rain, of course, now that I'm finishing up the video. So this might just conclude the video. Appreciate y'all watching. Thank you for all your support. And see you on the next one.